Hey, everybody. We have an announcement for an upcoming special Movies That Made Us Gay event.
Yes, we do. We are going to be doing our first ever mailbag episode.
A mailbag episode.
We've talked about doing a mail episode, but we've never fully committed. And you know what, Pete? I think we're going to do it.
I think so. I think we want questions from you, our loyal listeners. If you have anything that you would like to ask us anything. Ask away.
Ask away. Keep the questions fun. You can do, you can really do any type of question. I love the Oscars, so it would be fun to get some Oscar questions and something like that.
Yeah, you can ask us anything.
Yeah.
It's really up to you guys. We're going to do a whole episode, maybe a mini episode. It depends on how many good questions we get from you guys.
But it's going to be an episode for you, the listeners.
Yes.
Because we love y'all.
Yes, we'd love to hear from you. And we are going to let you know up until when you can submit your questions. So we have a cutoff for those questions.
Now a warning?
So what is we're taking them now up until...
We're going to take them now up until December 26th. Okay. So right after Christmas. So you have a good 2.5 weeks.
Sounds good. And if you head over to our Instagram page, we are at Movies That Made Us Gay on Instagram. There's an email button right on our profile. Mm-hmm. You can also email us at moviesthatmadeusgay@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. Or you can just send us a direct message on Instagram.
Send us a direct message. Tweet us. We'll try to regularly check our Twitter.
Yeah, our Twitter is at MTMUGpod. And if you send us direct messages on Twitter, if you tweet us a question, again, like I said, direct messages on Instagram.
I might even do something in the story too for a question.
Oh yeah,
on
exactly.
Instagram.
Check our Instagram stories. We'll have some links up there to submit your questions there. So any questions that you have for us, if you want to just put in the subject line mailbag episode, something like that, so we know where you're coming at us from. And that episode will be out.
The episode is going to be out December 30th, so right before New Year's.
All right. Sounds good. That'll be a fun New Year.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yes, indeed. So am I. So think up some good questions, listeners, and we'll be glad to answer them for you. Until then, here's the next episode.
An orphan searching for her past.
You think that I could be royalty?
A man looking for his future.
Do you see what I see?
A sorcerer.
Anastasia, alive.
Planning to make them history.
I guess a curse just ain't what it used to be.
20th Century Fox presents a magical musical adventure.
Wow!
Anastasia.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Welcome to our Christmas lineup.
Yes, indeed.
Is this officially a Christmas movie? Because I think it is. There's snow in it.
The word December is in the title of this song.
Exactly. But welcome back.
Listeners, my name is Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay.
Yes.
Donovan Marcotte, welcome to the show.
Donovan!
Thank you. I'm back. You're back.
Back again.
Back again. We saved a really good movie for you. I feel like we've talked
really
about
did.
doing this movie,
Yes.
but we held it specifically for December.
For December.
Because I feel like this song that's playing
Absolutely. Yeah.
for our opening.
It's so fitting.
The song memorably sung by one Meg Ryan.
The one and only Meg
We'll
Ryan.
talk about that later. But
The songstress that is.
Yes.
But yeah, we watched Anastasia, directed by Don Bluth and Gary Goldman, released November 21st, 1997. Anastasia.
Wow.
Anastasia.
You don't want to know how young I was.
So I have a specific...
You said 97?
I was in the 6th grade when this came out. I saw this movie twice in the theater.
Oh.
Okay.
That-
you had me beat there. Yeah.
I was taken to it when I was in the 6th grade, and then it came back around for a winter matinee that I remember our elementary school, you could get like books of tickets for matinees, because this is how is how small town our little movie theater was, is that they released the entire schedule of winter matinees, and you had to buy the full pack. And I usually went to all of them.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I saw Anastasia twice. So I saw it once during its main run,
Yep.
and then I saw it when it came through for
Yep.
the winter matinee.
I was in kindergarten, so the perfect age to watch this movie, and saw it when it originally came out. And I just remember getting the VHS, I think at Costco or something like that. And then
I think that we got our VHS at Costco, probably.
And it was like the white clamshell, and but it wasn't like the Disney clamshells. It was like a hard plastic clamshell.
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah, it wasn't like the Disney.
But was it the same shape? Like it
clamshell.
looked like it, or did it look different?
I think that it sort of looked the same, but you could definitely it stuck out when you were lining up your tapes.
It didn't all line up. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
And just
Good call
wore
on that.
the shit out
I
of
totally
that.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw this movie twice in the theater. I watched it on repeat when the VHS came out. And also, I remember getting the soundtrack and wearing it out. And I feel like this movie came out, I was at the right age that I think that if I would have caught this movie when I was a 7th grader the year after, I probably wouldn't have been into it. But I think that like 6th grade, it hit me at just the right age that I was kind of its target demographic.
Oh, totally. And there's like enough dark stuff in this movie that, like, as a 6th grader boy, right?
Yeah,
you can,
yeah.
like, latch on.
And
to
I
it.
definitely had a long history with Don Bluth. We can discuss Don Bluth later in the show. But Pete, I feel like you probably missed this movie when it came out.
In '97, I was on uppers, downers, and candy corns.
Yeah,
I was,
you and your friends weren't going to fucking Anastasia.
No.
97, I was at the Tunnel. I was at the Limelight. No, it wasn't. I was in Los Angeles. But I was not going to know damn Anastasia. But I did love Don Bluth. I am a Secret of Nim child.
Same.
And so I have always appreciated his art style. I liked Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
You know, even at that age, I was still very much like, I grew up on When Harry Met Sally, and so to me, you know, I just kind of wanted. Janine Garofalo has a bit where she just talks about a certain kind of Patagonia wearing couple.
Oh yeah, definitely.
that wishes that Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks starred in every movie together. I wasn't quite them, but I did love Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
And I mean, John Cusack, get out of here.
Oh yeah.
Get out of
gosh,
here.
yeah.
I think John Cusack, especially for people your age, like a very specific type of Gen Xer, I feel like John Cusack is just sort of their the crush.
Yeah.
And we
that
can
they
get
had.
into the sexual awakening that is Dimitri.
Oh my god, I have a lot to say about that. We'll get into it later.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to, because there's some weird shit on the internet.
Oh yes, there is.
when it comes to Dimitri.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't have a big history with this movie in like first run. I had younger siblings, and I don't even think they had the VHS of this. So yeah, I didn't really get into it for a while. You know, I love Angela Lansbury.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Treasure.
And then
Like-
going back to you know, watching, when I did discover it, I was like, this music's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the songs are bangers.
Yeah.
I loved what they did with, yes, this is history, but this is also a fairy tale.
Kind
Love what
of
they do with Rasputin.
kind of like historical fiction.
Yeah.
That's a big genre
Yes.
of literature.
Yeah.
Very much that.
I think having Rasputin as this like mystical wizard villain is super cool. Like, I love just all the ideas of like the occult and Rasputin,
Yes.
his real history of like
Oh yeah.
his death, his real death,
Yeah.
like all that shit. Ooh, that's crazy. So it does kind of have something for everybody in there.
Yeah.
And listeners, by the way, there's going to be a lot of sniffles in this episode. This is like sniffle central.
We're just
Like,
getting
Scott
over
and I are
colds.
both getting
Yeah.
over cold. Not COVID. We
Not
we
COVID.
tested. But excuse that. But it is once upon a December. We do get cold. We
Once
do get
upon a cold
sick
season.
right
Yeah.
on target.
Yeah.
So yeah, tangent. But yeah, not having a big history with it. When I did get to it, I was like, okay, this is charming. I'm in.
Did you first watch this when I introduced you to it?
Probably, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so sweet.
I do. I do have some not issues with it, but there were some things that stood out to me
Okay.
in it.
Oh, yeah, and we can discuss that later, of the certain things that may not age so well. I think that if you're going to do an Anastasia movie today, there are many elements of the script that you would have to change.
There's definitely some cultural appropriation.
Well, I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about the animation style is very interesting because
Sure. It's that blend of computer
Yes.
animation with 2D.
there's that. It was at that. Well, I think it was. I mean, it's even before like Disney's. What do they call it in Tarzan? The deep
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
scene thing and the Treasure Planet and Tarzan really had this.
It's like the multiplane camera,
Yeah.
but like
But
digitized.
CG, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, this is way before that. But I mean the character design. They're so much more like realistic looking.
Especially
Yeah.
Anya, and Dimitri.
The way that Don Bluth does human characters is very interesting. I always notice the hands in
Yeah.
particular.
Yeah.
Like the hands are so
Those
realistic.
Bluth hands.
Yeah.
Those are the secret of Nim hands.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, the rat hands,
Like
are
the
very,
rat hands.
bony.
Rasputin
and-
has
Oh,
them.
yes. Yeah.
But then you have a Rasputin character who is very cartoony. But I think it fits because he's this like crazy wizard or whatever. But yeah, so I was always like, oh, the animation style, so like it's very different. It doesn't look. I mean, to me, coming at it as an adult,
Yeah.
I was like, this is obviously not a Disney movie. But I think as kids, it's very easy to be like, singing princess. Maybe this is Disney.
Oh, as a kid, I knew very for certain that this was not a Disney
Sure.
movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if anyone else, like, children of the 90s, if you're listening, let us know. But, like, I always felt, like, guilty watching not Disney movies.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way, too?
Well, and also, I mean, that just kind of goes with Don Bluth's past as an animator, that Don Bluth worked for Disney. I mean, he may have even started in the 60s. Through the 70s, that he did background work for The Fox and the Hound.
And he did the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh as
Many
well.
Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and that was in the 1970s.
I think he's on the Rescuers as well.
The Rescuers.
74.
That, I mean, he had a long history with the company, and he just grew really tired of the politics of Disney animation, that he left with a bunch of animators to just start a rival studio. And they had a lot of success in the 1980s. A time when Disney was going through a lot of transitions of management, power, studio heads.
Hostile takeovers.
Takeovers, movies that were
Getting kicked off the lot.
movies
Yeah.
that didn't
literally.
really deliver, like
The Black Cauldron.
The Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
The Great Mouse Detective, I think, just did okay business.
Yeah.
Rescuers Down Under, I know, underperformed. That Don Bluth came out on the scene with a rival studio, and I think that he had MGM to distribute him, that he did The Secrets of Nim,
Yeah.
All Dogs Go to Heaven,
Yes.
and An American Tail. And American Tail was financed by Amblin.
Did he do Pebble and the Penguin, too?
I want to say yeah.
I know that, he definitely did Thumbelina.
Yeah.
Love Thumbelina.
And we're forgetting one. Land Before Time.
Yeah, The Land Before Time.
That's the big one.
And I...
One of the big ones. I mean,
I grew
American
up
Tail was
on all of those.
fucking huge.
Yeah. American Tail, I mean, that song,
Yeah.
Somewhere Out There,
Yeah.
so good.
Linda.
And yeah, I mean, I remember watching all of those movies. And I think that at the time, I definitely knew that this is not Disney.
Yeah.
That I knew that, oh no, this is a Don Bluth movie from a very young age. That
Don Bluth
there was
joint.
just something about his style, his storytelling that you did not see in Disney movies.
Yes.
And I feel like Disney would never go out on a limb to make an animated movie of
About the Romanovs.
like at all. Like that wouldn't have not even gotten
Yeah.
past like
Yeah.
a story pitch meeting, probably.
Yeah.
Let alone having Russian mystic
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Rasputin.
Rasputin and his evil reliquary.
Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about like the first Hellboy movie with like Rasputin's a villain in that, and just like very like H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes.
And like all that shit is just so fascinating. This is like a real person, and then all the stuff on, and now I can't not call them the Romanovs.
Oh, yes.
The Romanovs.
Yeah.
Because we just watched The Crown.
Yeah.
And so we have to
And that
to,
whole episode about Apatia
that
House.
episode.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good. I mean, I think most people when they watch The Crown just have like Wikipedia open on their iPad.
They're Googling all that shit as they
Literally,
watch it.
You know, as you watch it all. And with that in particular, and this episode coming up, we were just like, woo!
And you look at the side-by-sides of the Tsar Nicholas with
King
help me
George.
out here.
With King George. Yeah.
And they
And
just
they're twins.
and they
Literally
just,
like
and they
brothers.
just look like
Yeah.
brothers.
Yes.
And that all comes from just
From
just inbreeding.
inbreeding.
just genetic inbreeding.
Genetic inbreeding. Just
Good old Queen Victoria.
You know, but I don't know how true this is, but in that episode of The Crown, Boris Yeltsin was telling them that, you know, in Russian, they don't say once upon a time. They talk about, instead of once upon a time, they say like in the days of,
Yeah.
you know, having a czar.
In the days of the Tsar.
Of the
Yeah.
czar. You know, and that to them is their like fairy
Yeah.
tale.
How does-
so that kind of leads into hand in hand how this movie.
How does Angela Lansbury
material-
begin this movie? Does she say something similar like that in the
Kind
prologue?
of.
Something like that. Oh my gosh.
The land of fancy.
Yeah. She's something about a long, long time ago. Yeah.
But you know, it is very interesting that this story of the Romanovs, and well, I mean, if we really want to get into the actual pronunciation, I think Anastasia is not how you pronounce it.
Anastasia.
It's
Anastasia.
It's Anastasia.
She's getting
Yeah, she's getting
real Russian with it.
Getting
Okay.
Russian up in here. So, Selena wasn't Puerto Rican.
I mean, I just think of Anastasia's Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills.
Anastasia
Yes.
of Beverly Hills.
And you know
yes.
who is related to the Anastasia of Beverly Hills? Who? Like Maven.
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan. It's his aunt, right?
Anastasia of Anastasia of Beverly Hills is Sebastian Stan's godmother.
Okay, sure.
And so Norvina is his good play cousin. Then,
Who sometimes comes out to like introduce challenges and stuff.
oh, I
Yeah.
love Norvina. Just a subtle hint of makeup, just a touch,
Just, you know.
Dewy skin, you know.
Yeah.
something for a Sunday
light brow.
afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this material is something that you can look up. It's acts history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know all the stuff about you know
There's a great Netflix doc. It's like a docudrama called The Last Tsar.
right.
Yeah, where it's like actual historians talking about the Romanovs, but then it's interspliced with, you know, historical recreations.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know the long history of the mystery of Anastasia. Did she survive?
Yes.
These imposters coming forward, and you know when
Sewing the diamonds into the corsets.
I
the
was
bullets
just
bouncing
finding.
off
I
of
was
them.
just watching a doc
Yes.
today,
Ah.
and I like.
I read that on Wikipedia.
I did not know about that.
Yeah.
That when they were executed by firing squad, a lot of the younger girls had on these
the
diamond
son
lined
did too.
corsets.
Yeah. Which
So
is why
did they know that going down there?
Well, no,
Well, they didn't
just-
know they were going down there.
Sure.
I think they were just trying to smuggle out the jewels. These
Yeah.
were crown jewels. This
Yeah.
is the royal family. And when they said, get the fuck out of the palace, they grabbed everything that they could. And while they were in exile, the women probably just did this thing where
Yeah.
we're like, next time we need to move, we can't just be shoving these in our pockets.
Exactly.
One-eyed Willie style.
We're going to make them. We're just going to put them in this.
We're going to
corset.
sew them into your
so we can
undergarments.
easily put them on.
So they're going to be
and-
under your clothes.
Yeah.
And the son, the Tsarevich, Alexei, he had some on as well.
Yeah.
And so, like, he was shot several times. And,
So
like,
that's
and he didn't
almost.
die.
So that's
Yeah.
almost
He was
proving that they were
crystallized.
that they thought they were being moved to a different place.
Right.
That they had
Yes.
them on.
Yeah. So they.
But I mean, well, my point ultimately is that all this fairy tales and the real Anastasia and is this girl, is she still alive and all that? But like, when you get down to it and you read the history, they were all just
murdered.
off.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
at one
taken to a
one
basement
day.
and shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Execution
And this
style.
shit is fucking
And
dark.
it's intense. It's dark because, like, obviously they didn't die right away.
Yeah,
so
because of the jewels
Yeah.
sewn into their clothing. A lot of them, the bullets, like you know, oh my god!
And
It's-
also-
and then
What do you
hitting them with the
call it?
bayonets.
The bayonets!
And then after that, right, they take them into this field in the middle of the woods.
and then they're still alive.
and then they pour acid on them too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And this would have all.
I read that they like threw grenades on them and like all this crazy shit just so that they couldn't identify them. They didn't have DNA testing at this time in 1917, but they couldn't identify them physically, so they blew them up and poured acid and all this crazy shit.
And take in mind, this all would have been public knowledge around the time they're developing the story in 95.
Yeah.
Well, this was right before the DNA testing.
Sure.
Of are these bodies?
So they had just
actually
found the mass graves in 91. But they didn't quite identify all of them until later in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't they didn't actually identify Anastasia until way later.
Like
than
that.
2010s or something, right? Yeah.
Oh, I think it was around like 2009. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that in the news.
Yeah. So this shit is like a crazy dark story, but I think they were able to, and there's stuff in the movie too when she is we'll get to it, but when Anya gets to the palace and she has her big like dance,
Once Upon a December,
and she dances with Nicholas. There's a shot from behind, and the whole family's walking
it's
up.
so
and you're
sad.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, you don't notice this shit, but it's like they found ways to put it in there.
Well, the beginning of this movie always terrified me, and it was because I remember we were watching the movie in the theater, and my mom leans over and she says, "This really happened."
Those men are called Bolsheviks. And I mean, when you get down to like fucking brass tacks, these are the commies that like America in the 50s through like the rest of history were so afraid of. You know?
Yeah.
These are the people that, you know, in being the Ricardos that like Ricky's yelling at Lucy,
Oh my
like,
gosh,
this
yeah.
is why I fled Cuba, you know, talking about the Bolsheviks and all that shit. And it's like communism, it's like, okay, socialism and communism as these theories are one thing, but then when you see stuff like this, you're like, ooh, that was
Communism
that was
is not
intense.
just a red herring.
Yeah. Very good.
And then kind of
Time
when
it
you,
back.
and then when you kind of revisit this movie now, and you're thinking about kind of the truth of the Romanovs is that, I mean, they themselves were they were aristocrats living in this lavish wealth.
Oh, yeah,
while
in a bubble.
the rest of their country was starving. So they kind of just sort of put themselves in this position that they got overthrown.
Well, and they
too.
did not listen. Well, they listened to the wrong advisors.
Right.
You know, they just chose to live in this bubble thinking that, you know, how the world worked for the previous hundreds of years.
Yeah, kind
was
of
going to
unknowingly
continue.
orchestrating your own destruction.
Literally.
During all
Yeah,
of this.
yeah.
And then, I mean, the whole thing about, you know, monarchy and like the 5 crowned heads of Europe and all that shit. And like we said, Tsar Nicholas looking exactly like King George because of their bloodline and all that. But his wife, Maria, when you look at the family tree, his wife, Maria, goes back to Queen Victoria.
She was a granddaughter of Queen Victoria. Yeah.
But like, Nicholas is the cousin of King George, who also is tied to Queen Victoria.
Yeah, they're
So
all
it's
related.
like,
Yeah, they're all cousins.
fuck?
They're all kissing cousins.
That shit is wild.
No wonder their kid had hemophilia.
I mean, exactly. So that brings us to the other thing of like their actual association with Rasputin, right?
Yes.
And their actual association with him is that the mother, the Tsarina, Maria, was like,
Alexandra.
I'm sorry.
Maria was the grandmother.
Was the grandmother. Murder, She Wrote. Yes.
Angela.
And at one
dowager.
time, at one time was her husband the Tsar?
Yes.
Then? Okay.
Yeah.
Because she's Nicholas's mother, right? Yeah. She's the Dowager Empress.
Yeah.
Maria. Yes, that's it. But yeah, Alexandra, the Tsarina, because she carries hemophilia, she passes it on to what's the son's name? Alexei. And he's like, I don't know if he's extremely, you know, like prone to it or what, but she's just very protective of him.
Yeah.
And so she brings in Rasputin because he has the reputation for being
A healer.
And he was the
Is he a
only
charlatan?
and he was the only person that could heal
Yeah.
the son.
Yeah.
Well, according to her.
Yeah.
So they really did have a relationship,
A very
with
close
the
relationship
historical-
from everything that I've read.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I know we were talking about the 1950s Anastasia with
I
Will Brenner.
watched a little bit of it today.
Yeah.
It got Ingrid Bergman her second Oscar. I didn't quite finish the movie, and Ingrid Bergman playing that role,
She's playing to the back row.
to the back row
Yeah, she
in
is.
that role. Mm-hmm.
But have you also seen the old Nicholas and Alexandra film from? I want to say it was around the same time.
No.
Yeah, very very good. I'd recommend that too, since it does go through the story of Nicholas and Alexandra, and then through their ultimate
Yul
demise.
Brynner kind of playing the John Cusack Dimitri
Kind of
role
playing
of
the
that
Dimitri
movie.
role. Yeah, yeah, he's very good in it.
Okay, so he's a Russian mystic, a self-proclaimed holy man, befriended the family of Nicholas II, the last emperor of Russia, gaining considerable influence in late imperial Russia.
And then they couldn't kill him either.
That shit
Oh,
is
yeah.
wild.
That's wild, right? They,
Like shooting him,
they tried to poison him.
poisoning
they
him,
shot him.
put him in a box.
And they
Yeah.
castrate him, too,
Yeah.
I think.
I know that
Threw
his
him in the
dick is in a
river.
jar somewhere.
Yeah. Then eventually they threw him in the river.
They
and that's
threw
how
him
he
in the
finally
river,
died.
and he died by drowning.
Yeah. And he is voiced in this movie by Christopher Lloyd.
Yes.
I mean, plays a villain
Yeah.
like no other. Scarred us all as Judge Doom. And Roger Rabbit. We all still have memories of that.
And one of the most iconic villain songs, I think,
It's
in the dark of the
really
night.
good.
is
There's
Bop.
like, there's
It's
like,
really good.
there's
those
like-
bugs. Oh, come on,
there's
the bug
electric,
chorus.
There's an electric guitar in that song.
Yeah, there's electric guitars. I'm like, this is so Phantom of the Opera. I love
Yes.
it. And he's got he's got the dark crystal. He's got the
He has the Rats of Nim hands.
the Secret of Nim rat hands, his bony fingers, and he's got little Bartok.
Bartok, Hank Azaria. Give it a
Yes.
yeah and a yeah, and then a key cursor.
Little white bat.
White
love
bat,
it.
albino bat. Yeah.
What I mostly remember is the merchandising, and I feel like Bartok was like front and center.
Yes.
For this
got his own
movie.
spinoff.
Yeah.
He got a spin-off movie.
Bartok the Magnificent. Yeah.
I think there was a little Bartok figure that you could get. I mean, I would have loved the Anastasia doll as a sixth grader. I did not get the Anastasia doll.
My friend Amanda had the Anastasia doll, and it was the Paris Elegance doll. So the blue dress.
With the
Okay,
cape?
Yeah.
I would
With
want.
the
I would
cape,
want
yeah.
the blue dress.
Good one.
Yes,
Yeah.
beautiful doll.
What we loved about the animation in this movie is those kind of special effects when there would be
Sparkles.
there's a lot of
Sparkles.
jewels in this
Yeah,
movie.
there-
There's a
yeah,
lot of
there is.
sparkles, and the way they did that is so fucking cool.
Yeah. And the fact that they did it in like CinemaScope widescreen too.
Yes. Yeah,
So
yeah.
cool.
Which
Yeah.
watching that now on a nice TV like Chef's Kiss.
Yeah.
Like it is not in a little box. I broke out our
showing
DVD that I think I got this DVD like 10 years ago at Target for $5, and it, no joke, was a box on the screen.
Yeah, it's not formatted for widescreen.
It is not formatted for widescreen TVs. It is like that Family Guy joke of Lawrence of Arabia in its original CineScope widescreen format, and it's just a little rectangle on your TV. So I had to buy this on our Apple TV, and it is a nice digital copy of it.
Yeah,
And it fits our 55-inch TV.
And did it come with all of the special features?
Oh, yes, I watched all of them.
Yeah,
Yes.
the iTunes extras.
Yeah,
there's
the
a lot of
Aaliyah
really
music
good-
video.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that later.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about this. The music so great, and the
Yeah.
Aaliyah tie-in song also amazing.
But yeah, I mean, I think that just for children at the time, that it's so interesting that this kids movie is so loaded with dark history. And I think for the most part, Don Bluth pulls it off.
well, you
That's
know
what the kids want.
Yeah. But when you watch the beginning of the movie, it is scary.
It is scary,
These
yeah.
men come in, but it's like, do they explicitly say what happens to the rest of the family?
They don't. That's so weird. Is like so basically the movie. The premise of the movie is that Rasputin curses the Romanov family, and so Rasputin's curse is what kicks off communist Russia.
right? Yeah. If it wasn't for that, then
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah, and she just says that my Anastasia, my beloved granddaughter, I never saw her again, but she doesn't say what happens to the family,
to the rest of them.
To the rest of them. Yeah.
She just all we know is that she gets separated. It's
That
little
train
Kirsten-
scene is like so intense. I'm getting
Yeah.
like sweaty just thinking about it.
So it's little Kirsten Dunst doing
Little Kiki.
little Kiki doing the voiceover for baby Anastasia. It's Angela Lansbury, and they have a song
Yes.
together, and little baby Anastasia sings 2 words of the song, and it sounded to me like Kirsten Dunst. It's Lacey Chabert.
Is it really Lacey Chabert?
Yeah.
Oh, God, just,
They brought her in to
She's
sing.
everywhere.
She is everywhere. Speaking of Family Guy, she's the original Meg. They brought her in to sing like 2 words.
yeah.
There's not a lot for
I mean,
anything.
it's pretty
there's
much just. I mean, it's pretty much just Angela and Kelsey as the actor, or
and Bernadette.
clearly Bernadette, because that's why you
yeah.
that's why you book that one.
Exactly.
To have her sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the time. This is kind of the end of the time when they did not give a good goddamn that the actor doing.
Oh no,
not do
you're
the
gonna have your speaking voice of Belle, and then
Yeah.
I think Paige O'Hara may have done her own.
Paige
singing.
O'Hara did
I'm
everything,
thinking
yeah.
of Jasmine.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yes.
Jasmine,
Yeah.
you're gonna get B.D. Wong is gonna come in, and then we're gonna get Donny Osmond to sing that song, and no one will be the wiser.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they try to match it. Like I said, I was convinced. I thought that was Kirsten Dunst singing that 2 words,
Christopher Lloyd does the voice of Rasputin, but then Jim Cummings
which we
does
were
the singing voice.
We were
of-
gagged when we looked that up.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
gagged.
The voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Because he matched it so well. We were like, oh, this sounds like Christopher Lloyd. It's probably him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Cummings, I mean, icon.
Icon.
Icon-y.
I mean, he's done so many voices for. I mean, Winnie the Pooh,
Tigger.
Tigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does a lot of he did a lot of like Disney Afternoon stuff. He did
Yeah.
Montgomery Jack on Rescue Rangers and a bunch of other stuff like that. But yeah, so it's interesting getting like, you know, John Cusack and Meg Ryan to voice these characters, and does Dimitri have a lot of singing?
There's quite a bit of
Rumor
singing.
of St.
Yeah.
Petersburg.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
then-
yeah.
I think he has like a reprise of
Okay.
what's the song that Kelsey Grammer sings when they're dancing on the boat?
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
and then
I remember.
Learn to do it.
Learn to Do It, and then Paris Holds the Key to Your Heart.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, the big like through line is the Once Upon a December like melody,
Yeah.
because that's in the music box, isn't it?
It
Is it
is.
the same melody.
Yeah.
They also use Journey to the Past later in the
Oh,
score.
yeah,
Score by
yeah.
David Newman of the Newman Dynasty. Got him an Oscar nomination, too. So it's back
Really?
with the Oscars used to divide their scores to music and comedy and drama. They
Interesting.
stopped doing that in like 99.
Okay.
I think that they only briefly did it in the 90s, too.
Okay.
It wasn't a thing that they always did.
Yeah.
But it's the reason why movies like My Best Friend's Wedding and Anastasia got those score nominations.
Sure. Sure. So, I think the Anastasia character design is really successful because they start her off as a child. When they age her up, you know, it looks right. Her hair bothered me.
She's got Thumbelina hair.
She
The
got
length, of
Thumbelina
it,
hair.
the length of it is very interesting because it's like they got her some extensions when she gets to Paris.
Or it was just a really long walk from
Yeah,
Russia to
right.
Paris.
Because she kind of starts with the half ponytail. It's like
Yes.
a bob with the half ponytail, half up, half down. And then all of a sudden it's like down her butt.
I
Yeah.
think that she got like a clip in from some like
She got some.
cart on the walk
Yeah.
through Russia. I don't know.
Exactly. Some gypsy was selling. Well, we can't say that.
No.
But
Jessica Simpson magic hair. I mean, speaking of Andrea Martin in this movie.
Andrea Martin's
Conrad
is a couple
Fleminkoff.
of- Conrad Fleminkoff, and I think that she's the old lady that Meg Ryan, Anastasia,
yes, yeah.
go see
go see
Dimitri
Dimitri.
in the old palace.
Oh, okay. So there's two. Okay. That's funny. But yeah, there's not enough of her.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
There should be more. There should be more. Yeah, it's interesting that it starts off with, you know, those opening scenes, which are like they're magical, and
Yeah.
it's like there's like intrigue and suspense, and you're scared. You're
Super
like, what's
dark,
going on?
yeah.
It's all dark. And then we have the big like St. Petersburg like song
With the ugliest looking peasants.
yeah.
Well, I mean, this is St. Petersburg in the 20s.
And then I was always
that a
fixated
read?
as a kid. The scene, well, in the song, right, and they're all like gossiping to each other, and there's like a close up of all their mouths, and you can see like the saliva like coming off of all of their mouths.
Sure.
So
And that's gross.
I mean, this
Yeah.
would have been a big deal for animation because I think prior to computer effects and putting them in animation, I don't think this scene looks like this. That
You couldn't
if
get
you were
this big
hand
of a
drawing,
crowd.
you couldn't hand draw this many people
Right.
in a scene. So that was kind of one of the first big moments in a movie like this that
Yeah.
you could use modern technology and make it into like a movie. Like all
Well,
of a
I
sudden,
think-
yeah.
Like they were doing, like Lion King was doing it with animals, and then we had Hunchback. I think was like the
Yeah.
big, the one that had the biggest
Hunchback came out in
crowd
90
scenes.
Hunchback came out in 96.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it doesn't stand out as like, oh, that looks like terrible CGI, but it does. There is something about it that you're like, okay, something's different.
It's the scenes where there's the big wide shots of the Winter Palace
Yeah.
or like of something like a train
Right.
of that when you get these very fluid camera motions.
Well,
Yeah.
I would like to talk about Madeline Ashton, and I would like to talk about Don Bluth's heavy use of rotoscope
yeah.
in his movies.
I don't think that's something that I didn't really notice. And I mean, I never thought of that as a kid, but I
Yeah.
think that when I started to study more animation into when I was an adult, and then
Yeah.
I found out about stuff like rotoscope
Yeah.
and photographing actors on a stage and then having the animators pretty much trace over
Trace
them
over it,
to
yeah.
just get the fluid.
We've all
That
seen
goes back to
Yeah.
Disney.
Well, we've all seen the Disney
Yeah.
live action reference footage.
Yeah.
But they don't rotoscope Disney usually.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they did. In Pinocchio, they rotoscoped the
Marionettes.
Stromboli's
Yeah.
carriage.
Oh, okay.
You know, and sometimes there are things that are moving in 3 dimensions that they might rotoscope like that, but they don't usually do it with characters. They use
Yeah.
it for reference. But there's something about Don Bluth movies that they do a lot more rotoscoping with the characters. And the first time I watched Anastasia, that was something that like really slapped me across the face. I was like,
it's pretty much
this-
it's the big scene with Dimitri when he's introduced and he's jumping in the window. That you're like, oh, that looks a little too fluid
Yeah.
to have been drawn.
Yeah, there's just something a little uncanny valley about it to
Yeah.
me, at least when I was watching it. Where I was like, it just doesn't look like something that's animated. It looks like something that someone did that they animated over. Which it's fine. It's still a beautiful movie, and I couldn't fucking do it.
But yeah, it's interesting of when you really see that in certain moments
Yeah.
with characters.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see it a little bit in like when they dance, when there's crowd scenes, things like that.
Yeah.
And when we first see Anya, kind of in her like adult
Yeah.
stage,
Leaving the orphanage.
yeah, and this fucking dog. Does this dog fly? What is going on?
Puka with his little ears. Yeah.
We noticed that
fly.
in the concept art of when they were trying to get Meg Ryan to sign on to this movie, they animated a bit of, I think that she's in the Winter Palace. And they pulled dialogue from Sleepless in Seattle to kind of put over the animation to sell her on
Yeah.
this can actually work, because I think she was hesitant about doing voiceover for this type of movie. I think also the subject matter with Meg Ryan, she wasn't really sure about.
Sure.
But we noticed that the Puka character is a ferret.
That would have been a very
That would have been a
choice.
very interesting choice to have animated a ferret.
Why not? Aren't they from
Meg Ryan.
up
Yep.
there in the snow, little white ferret? Yeah. So Anastasia's character design to me, like the hair, I had problems with the hair when it's up in this like
It's a little
in
inconsistent.
this weird thing.
Yeah.
But then she wears a hat most of the time.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And then we do get introduced to Dimitri right away, and both of you feel some type of way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I used to think Dimitri,
the
voiced by,
arms.
used to.
by John Cusack,
Yeah.
was so dreamy.
Well, he's got like the 90s hair, like the
Yes.
flippy 90s
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
And then his sleeves are rolled up. So
Yeah.
he's like got those like nice
Forearms.
animated
Yeah.
arms.
Nice animated arms. He has
Yeah.
a good butt. I noticed that last night in our viewing. And also, kind of today when I revisit this movie, the character is drawn, I think, with a broken nose. Broken, or at least he has a really good arch in his nose.
Yeah.
Which you do not see that
No,
a
you
lot
don't.
in
Yeah.
animation, is sort of real features put onto characters.
Yeah.
He's fine.
And John Cusack's voice too is just like
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
it's so smooth.
It's very pleasing.
Yeah.
Pete, has John Cusack ever done it? I mean, you love Better Off Dead.
I do love Better Off Dead.
He's cute and Better
I
Off
mean,
Dead.
He's very specific looking.
My sister definitely had a big crush on John Cusack for a long time. I was not the biggest Say Anything fan. And so the whole like Lloyd Dobler, all that stuff.
I used to love Say Anything when I was 17. I'd be curious to see how that movie holds up now.
Yeah, I know that I have a lot of gal pals. My gal pal Moran, very into Lloyd Dobler and the whole thing with him. Mm-hmm. And yeah, again, I'm a big John Cusack fan. I love Better Off Dead. But I don't know. To me, I got more of like. I thought it was funny. I thought it was charming, but I was never super like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make it very clear. I'm just here for Dimitri.
Right. And yeah, that's the
I
thing.
think the reason why I'm into John Cusack is because
of Dimitri.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I mean, now he's kind of like off his rocker. I don't know. Is he?
He's a little kooky.
Is he kooky now?
I think he's a little kooky.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. But, it happens. But yeah, and again, I came to this movie late. I was an adult. And so I was like, okay, yeah, this character. All right. Work. I think had I seen it younger, I probably would have appreciated the Dimitri character.
Yeah.
So the character of Dimitri
right.
and Kelsey Grammer, what's his name?
Vlad.
So they are very in on we are going to pass off a Russian girl to this grandmother, the dowager, and get the money.
She's offering a reward.
She's offering an award.
10 million rubles.
10 million rubles. Because there is a rumor in St. Petersburg
A rumor
that
in
she
St.
survived.
Petersburg?
Mm-hmm.
Which is then where you get the iconic, like, Tallulah Bankhead, Grandma. It's
Oh,
me."
my God.
Next, please. Grandma, it's me, Anastasia. Oh, brother.
Icon.
The most iconic part of the movie, arguably.
I think that they even referenced Tallulah as just the main inspiration for the
Probably,
character.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's funny. Yeah, I love that there's like auditions.
Yes, so funny.
Auditions in the Winter Palace. So, was the Winter Palace ever just boarded up and vacant?
Just abandoned?
Was this a thing?
According
hell
to
knows?
the cartoon, which is a trusted source.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there
accurate.
just would have been a weird couple years in the 20s when
Probably,
it was semi-vacant. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was that movie in the 2000s called The Russian Ark that was shot at the Winter Palace, and it's one take. Do you guys remember that?
I remember the one take.
It was one take, and they walk through this palace. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
When they finally do get together, we get a little bit. My Fair Lady. Going
Yes.
on.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be doing a Julie Andrews reference, Anastasia even has her "I Have Confidence" song from Sound of Music. It is
Journey to the
to the
Past.
Past.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
You're going to be sort of pulling musical theater references. I mean, that's pretty much what that song
they
is.
talk about that in the commentary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And what was cool was like, Anastasia and the character of Anya, we hadn't really had a spunky princess because she's kind of a brat.
She is.
in this movie.
She is, yeah.
You know? Like, I think up until this point, like a lot of the animated heroines, that I can think of, right? Maybe the exception of Princess Jasmine.
Jasmine's kind of.
She's a little spunky.
Jasmine has some attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with somebody like Belle, like she's defiant of Gaston, but a little less like,
But not so much in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's not like a poor little rich girl like Jasmine is.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas, like, Anya and Dimitri are full on bickering
yes.
in this movie.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
True.
Vlad has like a tally of all of the burns that Anya has against him.
Yeah.
She's pretty savage when she's talking to him.
Yeah.
Well, there's also that physical comedy where she keeps beating the hell out of him, like at every moment, accidentally
Of course.
on purpose. But yeah, that's kind of a fun beat of this character too. And I think Meg Ryan's a good choice.
Yeah, I think Meg Ryan's voice
She's doing really
lends
well.
itself really well to animation. And I'm kind of surprised, especially in the past, I mean, I hate to say couple decades, but that's what it's pretty much been, is that she hasn't really been working in major studio movies consistently since pretty much that movie where she's the boxing manager Against the Ropes. But I'm kind of surprised. I'm kind of
that.
surprised that she hasn't fallen back to more voiceover work.
Yeah.
I want to see her narrate like insurance commercials.
Right?
We can get something better than that.
I mean, she's got all those residuals from her 90s movies. I think she's good. She doesn't need to do any more work.
Yeah, she's in a fine place.
But
she should be retired.
she does not do the singing voice. We can talk a little bit about Liz.
Yes, Liz Calloway.
Liz Calloway.
Fantastic, Broadway actress.
I think that she was in stuff like Cats, I think.
She was in Cats. She's very famous for her version of Meadowlark, which was a song from The Baker's Wife, originally sung by Patti LuPone. That's a great cover to check out, too. But
I remember reading the liner notes for the soundtrack as a kid and figuring that out. Because I think that when I first saw the movie, when you're a kid, you just assume,
of
course, that is Meg Ryan's singing voice. And then when I was reading in the liner notes,
were you just gagged?
That's not her.
There's two different voices.
What? So you forwarded this YouTube video to me earlier in the week.
Yeah,
and she tells a little story.
It's so good. So this is
The speaking voice was Meg Ryan.
Okay,
I did the singing voice of Meg Ryan.
Now Liz told me that when she met Meg Ryan, it didn't go so well. Can you please elaborate?
You didn't tell me you were going to ask.
You told me not to ask you what I was going to ask you. You said, don't tell me what you're going to ask. Now you have to reveal it.
No, I introduced myself to her at the opening night party, and I said, "Hi, I'm Liz Calloway, and I did your singing voice." And she said, "Oh, really? I told everyone I did the singing." She walked away. And I, of course, in true Liz Calloway fashion, was just like, "Oh, okay, great."
Jade.
Wow. That is hysterical. And that's Seth Rudetsky talking to her, who's a, big Broadway guy.
Okay.
If you ever just look up Seth Rudetsky videos, he does like all these interviews with all like the big Broadway leading men and women.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I feel like to me as a kid, I was kind of aware of the singing voice versus the voiceover for the main character going back to Aladdin.
Sure.
Because Ariel did her own singing.
She sure did.
She sure did.
Jodie Benson did.
Jodie Benson came from the stage.
Yes.
Yep.
But I specifically remember on the Disney Channel them kind of showing behind the scenes of Aladdin and seeing Brad Kane and Lea Salonga and being like, that's not DJ Tanner's boyfriend. What? I just kind of being like, oh, okay, I guess that's something that they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe and she did say that was at the premiere. Mm-hmm. So maybe Meg didn't get to tell that many people.
I mean, this was also sort of at the height of Meg Ryan. And
that is
97.
True. Yeah, who's gonna tell off Meg Ryan? Right?
Well, this is the same year that she did "Addicted to Love," a movie that I love, directed by Griffin Dunn, with her and Matthew Broderick. I love "Addicted to Love." The Sally Hershberg hair. When you look up anything that she's doing press, she has this beautiful blonde hairstyle that's meticulously placed.
It's just very
strands.
Piecey little strands just kind of sticking out.
Is that
kind of
like her? You got male hair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but in Addicted to Love, she's more edgy. Mm-hmm. Oh. She wears smudged black
not my Meg
eyeliner. I know she's very edgy in that
Addicted
movie.
to Love is a stupid movie, but I love it though.
It's pretty dumb.
Okay, I'll need to check it out.
I watch it whenever I'm sick.
Kelly Preston.
Yeah.
Whenever I call out of
Preston.
work, I always put on Addicted to Love. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Meg Ryan. She's an edgy gal. Mm-hmm. But I mean, again, I think the singing voices match up very well.
They
They
do.
do a good job. So
Totally.
I'm not faulting anybody. And again, this was at that time when it just kind of did that in movies, and then we kind of swung back around now to having the voice actors doing their singing,
doing everything.
Yeah.
I feel like movie musicals now, or just anything for animation, I feel like everything is really hard to sing now.
Because everything is written for
Yeah.
a tenor, right? Like the super high pop
Like you really
voice.
have to cast a specific type of actress, like Kristen Bell or Idina Menzel that can nail all of those notes.
Well, even Idina Menzel doesn't nail all the notes
She,
every time.
she can't always nail it, too.
But in the studio, she's great.
She's human, yep.
She can do it in the studio.
If she could do it once, that's all we need. Just get it on that record.
Yeah.
Which I'm still a little salty that the Demi Lovato pop version of Let It Go,
Let It Go
never got to have its moment.
It really didn't.
People just loved.
It never got to chart.
No.
People just loved Idina too much.
They did, yeah.
But I mean, that brings us to pop versions.
The pop version
pop
of
version.
Journey to the Past by Aaliyah. I remember just hitting the repeat button on my little Discman when I would be in the car and just listening to that fucking song like 100 times in a week. It was so good.
I loved. We were watching the special features, and there's Aaliyah, all 20 years old.
Yeah, looks young.
And 'cause I think she's my age. I think she was my age. I think she was 77. And her explaining it, how they adapted it to be a pop song. And she's like, so we added a beat to it, to make it
Yeah.
for the radio. And I was like, yes, you did add a beat to that song. Yes, you did. And that beat fucking slaps.
Yes, it's so good. Yeah. And then there's another song, too, that plays during the credits. That
Are you talking about the Donna Lewis and Richard Marx at the beginning? I used to also love that.
Yes,
song.
that's such a good song.
I've been listening to that song on repeat. And the thing about this soundtrack is that you can't stream any
find
of
it
this
anywhere.
shit. You have to find it on YouTube, or I have old digital copies just from old downloads
You probably ripped from your CD.
decades ago
Yeah.
that I ripped from a CD, or I got it off like some torrent.
Yeah.
So I have it on my iTunes, but there's something weird with the music rights to this, that this soundtrack is not on streaming. It's not on Spotify. It's not on Apple.
Can't find it anywhere.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You could put your phone up to the TV and do a voice note of like the songs.
And I have done that sometimes. 'Cause
We've all been there.
I use the voice memo app a lot for this show. But I remember when Aaliyah performed the song at the Oscars. This was the same year that Elliott Smith and Celine Dion were in the same category as her.
Oh, my gosh.
I remember them all singing it on the broadcast, and I would rewatch that ceremony a lot because I had it taped. It was the Titanic ceremony, so of course, 12-year-old me would watch that on repeat just 12 months out of the year just to see the Titanic clips. But yeah, Aaliyah performed it at the Oscars too.
Iconic.
Wow. So Miss Misery, My Heart Will Go On, and what's the name of the song from this movie?
Journey to the Past.
Journey to
Journey
the
to the
Past,
Past.
and also the other Disney rival movie that came out this year, the one Mr. Michael Bolton. I will go the journey from Hercules.
Go the distance.
I'll go the distance.
I'll go the distance. Yeah.
Oh, Hercules.
Michael Bolton did Go the Distance.
He did the pop version. Yep.
Oh, wow.
I don't
Do you not remember that?
I don't
Yeah.
remember that either.
Woo.
But I mean, this is Movies That Made Us Gay podcast. So clearly I was more into Anastasia than I was into Hercules.
See, now little Hercules, I was always like
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, for sure.
big hunky Hercules. Yeah,
Muscle daddy.
We love it.
That's
we,
right.
We love it. And I mean, Tate Donovan to get out of here.
Yeah.
We'll
I
save
think
that for the
I love
Hercules
both.
episode.
I mean, Hercules was like the sexy Disney prince,
Yeah.
and then beautiful, not Disney princess. Anastasia.
Yeah. So Disney Princess. We talked a little bit about the sparkle effects and some of the costume changes.
Gowns.
But
Beautiful
the
gowns.
the beautiful gowns.
Yeah.
You both like the blue.
I like the
gowns.
blue. I like the blue number that she goes to the opera with.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's the one for me. Although the Once Upon a December dress that she like twirls into, it's all magical.
Like the Once Upon a December dress was in all of the marketing. It
Yes.
was usually like
Yeah.
the Anastasia doll. I remember it being this look.
Yeah.
Okay, I like the blue dress too because it has that
Yeah.
like cape thing that's
Yes.
like pinned to the back and it's like sheer.
Yeah.
It has like sparkles on it.
And
as
I remember
well.
being very upset when I went to go see Anastasia, the Broadway musical, and she did not do a quick change during Once Upon a December.
Really?
No. Yeah, she just stays in her rags. the
Oh,
entire
that's
time.
lame.
And her
They
tattered
could have
so
they could have
lame.
figured out a really fierce
Right?
quick
And
change
her
for that.
tattered rags.
Telling me. Yeah. I was like, I turned to my boyfriend at the time, like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing. That's why you go to these shows to see the spectacle.
Exactly.
I love that moment of the movie where she's dancing with these ghosts from the past.
Yes.
Because I think it works either way. That is this all coming from Anastasia's like repressed memories,
Her
of
collective
time,
trauma.
her collective trauma, or of her time in the past, or are they actual ghosts? I think it works either way.
Either way, open to interpretation.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie also does the age-old cliche of amnesia. Has any of us ever met someone with amnesia?
Girl, and she had amnesia for 10 years.
I met a drag queen named Amnesia.
And this isn't like overboard amnesia where she gets
Amnesia
like
couture.
where she gets like
stage.
where Goldie Hawn gets her memories back in like
No.
2 weeks.
A matter,
No.
Yeah, a matter a month or two. No.
Well, and the amnesia is like played up in the Yul Brynner 1950s Anastasia too.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I didn't finish the movie. Is the gag of
Because
the
it's
movie
4 hours.
that
my
no,
God.
it's not that long. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes.
Really? Why does it feel
Just
so
when you
feels
were
for-
when you were a
Yeah.
child, it just felt like it
Yeah.
was that long.
Yeah.
So is the gag of that movie, is she actually Anastasia or is she a fraud?
We don't know at the end.
Okay, so you don't know because I
No.
know that they're pretty much basing that character from Anna Anderson, the actual woman who came forward and claimed to be the Grand Duchess of Russia.
Yeah.
And she had a history of mental illness. There was like suicide attempts. I think that she spent time in a asylum before she came forward with all of that during the 20s. I think that she held on for pretty much her whole life, and they even hired investigators to prove that it wasn't her. And I think that until like the day that she died, and she died in America, like I think she was still
She was
sticking
like,
to the
"God
story.
damn it, I'm Anastasia.
I don't know.
Well, again, it has been so long since I've watched that movie, and I tried watching it the other night, but of course I fell asleep. But I do recall at the end, there's like she reunites with the grandmother, and it follows the beats of the animated film pretty closely. But then, instead of running off with Dimitri, she disappears, and so we don't know if she actually was a fraud or if whatever it was. But
Yeah. Because I was thinking about that as we were rewatching this Anastasia the other night. I was thinking, what if they did kind of like leave it ambiguous at the end of this movie, but they couldn't do that.
no,
Yeah.
Not in a children's.
not for a children's movie.
They're just like she's the princess. Well, I guess she's not
Yeah.
the Grand Duchess.
the Grand Duchess. Yeah.
I guess the Russian royalty is different.
A little
but,
different, yeah.
But that is very interesting.
Yeah. Favorite song in the movie?
God.
Okay, let me
He's
think
gotta
about
think
this.
about it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I mean, I think it's.
They're all great.
They're all great. They're all bangers. But I think that Journey to the Past is my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah.
I think it's such a. I love narratives of songs like this. It's the song for the protagonist. Like they are on this journey. It's like the whole song is a sort of, you see their confidence level progress as the song goes on.
Yeah. All right. I like Once Upon a December. I like,
Yeah.
I think
So good.
I mean, it's the wig in a box number of this movie. It's the empowering ballad of your protagonist.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of wig in the box, I love In the Dark of the Night. When Rasputin wears that wig. Yeah. He's like, that's Vidania.
We have to talk about Rasputin and Bartok in the Neither world. Just
With these harmonizing bugs.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we're in
Well, I mean,
limbo.
you have to
That's
have
fine.
somebody for Rasputin to talk to. He just can't be there alone.
They talk about in
So
the commentary too.
They
like,
had to animate little bugs
Yeah.
to be with them. I mean, all great movie villains, especially animation, have
minions.
minions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not little yellow gibberish speaking minions. Actual minions.
yeah.
Actual minions.
It was a word before.
It was a word. It was a word before Despicable
before
Me.
Elimination Studio. But
Minions people, I don't get them.
right?
Yeah.
And the memes.
Ugh.
Like what?
Gross.
But I love just the fact that they're playing on he's dead.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Quite literally falling
Yeah,
apart.
He's dead. He's in limbo. His head's walking away.
They call it purgatory, I think.
Purgatory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, limbo, purgatory, same diff. It's where the unbaptized babies
I mean,
go.
you mentioned H.P. Lovecraft, and this is very Lovecraftian.
yeah.
Very.
Where exactly is he?
Absolutely.
He's almost on. Have you seen The Fountain with Hugh Jackman? He's almost.
When
in,
are we
like,
doing the Fountain episode?
Whatever,
Coming back for the Fountain
like
episode.
whatever he's like traveling
Oh
through
my
space
God,
in the
yeah.
fountain.
Yes.
It's kind of like that.
It is
in
like
his,
that.
in
Yeah.
his Glinda bubble.
Yeah.
Oh man, does that mean I have to watch The Fountain again? Woo!
It's so good though. I cry every time.
It's good, but it needs to be real
Sad.
stoned.
I mean, it's short. It's like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love all that shit. We love a good villain song.
We do.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And
Even
I just love all the Rasputin stuff.
Even the Paris song is great too with Bernadette. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And on all of the pop culture references to Paris at the time, right? Like Josephine
Oh yeah,
Baker.
who do we get? We get
and
Josephine Baker. We get Freud.
Freud, Gertrude Stein, Isabella Duncan.
Not Gertrude Stein.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Do we get Dolly anywhere?
Salvador Dali.
I don't know if we get Dolly, but
Dolly?
if you notice
No.
when they go to the Moulin Rouge, it changes into that like George
Yeah.
Seurat like pointillism.
Oh,
It's
sure.
a change
yeah,
of animation
yeah.
style that I
Yeah.
think is pretty cool.
That's
It's really
fun.
cool.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, our watches are talking to us.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Love all of the Paris stuff when they finally get there.
Yeah.
And I mean, this movie has a shopping spree moment in it.
They go to Chanel. Yeah.
Mhm. They go to Chanel.
Love it.
Yeah. I did think it was funny in the commentary they talked about how Bernadette wasn't happy that her character was fat.
But you know what? Looking back on it now, how refreshing that she is a
Right?
fully figured woman, and they let her be sexy.
She is so sexy.
Yeah.
They let her be sexual,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I think is really interesting and not something that you see a lot.
No. Yeah. No, she is so sexy with Vlad. Yeah.
Love that. Scott, you were talking about the Vlad character being a little like not off model, but
I mean, he doesn't quite match Anastasia and Dimitri. Of that, they're clearly going for realism with those two characters, and there's something a little more cartoonish with Vlad.
Yeah.
yeah.
He almost looks like modeled from An American Tail.
Right. Yeah. Which, I mean, it doesn't necessarily take you out of the movie, but I could see as a creator being like, it's not.
Yeah.
Looking back, I would fix it or whatever. Thinking that. So
Yeah.
that kind of makes sense. But I mean, it's like I said, to me, the human character, all the characters are human, but the characters are so much more like defined in this movie and less cartoonish than in a Disney movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that probably why whenever you see home video releases of this movie, the art on the cover is always really weird?
crazy.
That
Weird.
They clearly weren't sticking to the proportions or
Yeah.
the animation
Yeah.
style of the character, so they just had somebody come in and draw a cartoon version of it.
Maybe.
Yeah, because like my Blu-ray cover is weird.
It's that one that one that we know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. The cover you have for your Apple version is weird too.
But I feel like the Apple version is a little more on model than it is on the home video releases of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I just remember is it the VHS where she's looking right?
Yes, she's looking up.
Yeah,
and
and,
it's like,
there's it's a shot from the movie, isn't it? I think there's a shot of her like right leaving.
It's when she trips over the log and
Yes.
she sees the signs to Paris.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Or
that,
not to Paris, I meant St. Petersburg.
I noticed that. I was like, that's the cover of the VHS. Like they took a freeze frame and they made a poster out of it.
Pete, do you love that if we're also going to be hitting movie cliches in this movie, Anastasia has a locket?
I was gonna
does
go
have
there.
a
We were
locket.
talking about
I
Paris.
I
and it
love
was
any
just
together
convention
in Paris.
to go
where an orphan child has a locket, straight up
and I
Little
don't know,
Orphan
and
Annie
I don't know
style.
what it means, and I don't know who gave it to me. How else would we know
Another
she has no
thing that I've
family?
seen a lot in movies, I have never just run into a person that has a locket from their childhood with like a picture or words or something like Together in Paris. Definitely not something that I just assume that I would be seeing a lot more.
But you know what's fucking cool? That locket is the key
to the music
to
box.
the music box?
I wanted that music box so
my
bad.
God.
And then when I went to go see the Broadway show, and you could buy the music box and you could buy the locket.
Oh shit!
Okay, so what are the major differences between the movie and the Broadway show?
There's no Rasputin.
What?
I know.
Did they take it out just because it wouldn't be like PC to a modern audience?
I don't know why
You
they
know-
took
Did they
it
not
out.
want to go there?
I think it's because it's and a lot of like dubious facts
Yeah.
of a real life events. I think that's the one that's like really doesn't line up.
I mean,
Okay, sure.
I think
So-
he was already dead at this by the time they came
Well,
in. and the
because
family was
like the
massacred.
Tsar, like, did he die pre-revolution?
No, the Tsar was killed in the basement with the rest of them.
No, I meant Rasputin.
Oh, Rasputin. Ooh, that's
like,
a good question.
did they get rid of him while
He-
they were in power?
He died in December of 1916. I have the Wikipedia.
Yeah,
page.
so
Okay.
they would have already been in exile
Yeah.
by then. Yeah, so I don't know if they knew that Rasputin had been killed.
Yeah. So, and I think it's just that was one of the things where they took the biggest liberty
Yeah.
in making him the villain, and isn't just the Bolsheviks are like
communism is the villain of the musical.
Yes.
Yeah, they have a whole character named his name's like Gleb or something like that. Some like random Russian name, and he was one of the soldiers in the basement.
Oh,
That
Oh, wow.
yeah. So
So
his
musical
his
does
unfinished
really
bit-
go there.
It really does. Oh my gosh, yeah. They show the prologue is really cool because they like kind of in dramatic format, right? They show like the family going into exile and like the shots and all that. So he was one of the soldiers in the basement. So his unfinished business is to finally kill off Anastasia.
Lord.
Are
But
you sitting in the audience flipping through the playbook and being like, where the hell is In the Dark of the Night?
literally, yeah,
Where-
the
where's
one
that
song I
song?
came for, yeah. But other than that, it follows all of the beats of the movie.
Okay.
Except Journey to the Past is the Act 1 finale. So, and if you watch it, it's actually really cool because it like she's singing it and then it ends and there's like Paris in the distance and it looks really cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah,
But there's no quick change.
but there ain't no quick change in Once Upon a December. Let's get to that.
And no train scene.
There is a train scene actually. Yeah,
okay.
But it's not there. There are no like little demons coming to like derail the train. No, the communists come instead. Yeah,
Dirk.
yeah.
All right.
But there is like the Sophie character is in the play. The grandmother has a big part in it too. The Vlad character is in it. Yeah,
Okay.
I was very disappointed I didn't get to go to it.
it was really good. I recommend it. I mean, there's a tour, there's still a tour I think going around.
Yeah.
So yeah, whenever it comes back.
All right. All right. Oh, you know what else I noticed going back to the music box really quickly. In the opening credits, the music box looks almost stop motion.
Yeah,
It's not quite CG. It's like it looks physical.
Yeah.
like it's there. And then all the shots of the music box are CG.
Yeah.
Later on, so you have the little carrot, the little
You can
figure.
like the grandmother picks it up, puts it in her bag, and it's like there's something different about the
Yeah.
music box compared to the rest of the composition of
it's
the
in,
shot.
It's in 3 dimensions, but
Yeah.
it still looks really cool. But I just remembered that in the opening credits, it does look like it's as the little guy or the little person comes out of it. It looks like it looks stop motion. To
Yeah.
me. But I don't know if it's just CG made to look like stop motion.
I think it's a CG music box in
I
the
don't know if
credits.
they were that sophisticated in '97 to make it look that real. What do I know?
Hot take.
that is my hot take. Let's see. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say my hot take is that I think that this is, in terms of voice roles, this is Angela Lansbury's best voiceover work.
Oh, she's doing accent work in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you really notice when you look at the cast of who's doing accents. It's Angela, Kelsey,
And Bernadette.
Bernadette.
Yeah. They're the only one.
that we are doing a character.
Yeah.
This is set in the 20s.
Well, you know
we are
what?
committing to these accents.
You know what I got to listening to Angela do this character? It's not just, no shade, this isn't a read. It's not just Mrs. Potts.
No, not at all.
No.
I'm just here in this. It's like a character.
It feels very lived in.
And what she was doing with her voice, she was almost making it deeper. Like she kind of thinks she went down a register and like doing, this voice work. It reminded me a lot of what she did in Last Unicorn.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Of this,
What's her character name in The Last Unicorn?
Mommy Fortuna.
Mommy Fortuna. We just revisited it.
In the Midnight
Have you ever seen the
Carnival.
last?
I have seen Last
Last
Unicorn. It's been a
Unicorn?
long time,
Wild.
but yeah, I remember really enjoying it.
And
as
she
a kid.
plays like this like traveling witch that like she bewitches the unicorn so that people can see
Yeah.
the unicorn horn because normal people can't even see it. So she puts a fake horn on it and all this stuff. But it's a very kind of spooky character. And oh my goodness, the cat does not like this conversation. But yeah, I was getting kind of like notes of that because she was going a little deeper with her register, and yeah, I did really think about this performance that she was giving, and I did notice that it was really well done.
Yeah.
I think that Angela is also the type of actress and person that took a role like that very, very seriously because I think that she sort of knew how serious the subject matter and the character was.
Yeah.
So she
Totally.
so she showed up and she was prepared.
Yeah. Ugh, love her.
Yeah, what an icon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We were lucky to have her.
We were.
this is the first Angela movie that we're commenting on since she passed, right?
I think also this movie has material that's aged really well that I would be curious to talk to immigrants of like the LGBT persuasion that grew up on this movie and can kind of relate to it kind of in the point of view of Anastasia.
Yeah. Totally.
Just kind of like the movie is about belonging and finding family.
Finding family,
Even if
yeah.
it's chosen, even
Yeah.
if it's Anastasia finding both Vlad and Dimitri. I think that those are kind of things about the movie that I think have aged the best.
classic
all of
LGBT
it.
themes. Finding
that
family.
We get to choose our family. So, I mean, along those lines, and like I was saying earlier about how they would never really explicitly state, maybe she's not the real Anastasia. At the end of the movie, she doesn't stay
No.
with the Dowager.
Yeah.
Empress.
She still runs off.
She still runs off with Dimitri. So, I mean, you could look at it and think maybe she is thinking that she's not real, like she's not really
Yeah.
Anastasia, and that's why she makes that decision. I mean, she's doing it for love, and it's the fairy tale and all that.
Yeah.
It's like-
I don't think I've ever really thought about that.
That could be
that
one
maybe,
kind of interpretation
but that
of
maybe
it.
there are doubts in her.
Yeah, I don't know.
But she's remembering all of this, though.
She does remember it
She
all.
does
She
remember-
has
yeah.
the locket and
Yeah.
in St. Louis or whatever.
in St. Louis.
What does it say? Together in Paris.
Together in
There
Paris.
you
Yeah.
go. Same thing.
Same diff.
Yeah, you're right. She does remember all that stuff. And that's clearly her face on that tapestry.
Oh, 100%.
Everybody's like,
yeah.
"Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice."
It's wild at the end of the movie where she's having her little kiki with the Dowager.
Oh, and they're in their
And-
pajamas.
and their pajamas,
Party. Yeah.
and they put in real photographs and
Yes.
pictures of
Yeah.
these artifacts of the family.
It's very cool.
The picture that she drew is an actual picture that Anastasia drew, and they just sized it down in the animation.
So cool.
Did you know that, Pete?
I think I read that. Yeah. It's like a horse or something that she drew.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you get down to it and you read the history, like the real Grand Duchess Anastasia, wasn't she like 19?
She was older.
She was older.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The brother was young, but he was the youngest.
He was the youngest, but even when they passed away, I think he was already a
I
teenager.
think he was like 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, which made Anastasia was probably like 19 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
And the older, because she was the youngest girl.
She was.
There were 4 girls
There were
and
4
a boy.
girls. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids. I mean, if you haven't already done it, go to the Wikipedia page. It's intense.
Oh yeah, yeah. Seriously, or watch The Last Tsar on Netflix. Or yeah.
I mean, I can see being Don Bluth and the story team, and that with a lot of that, I don't know if you can even put that in the movie. Like, there is so much that I think that you just have to boil this down to. We are going to make a princess movie.
Yep.
We are going to make a movie about her discovering her past. I know that all of these events actually happened, but we are going to have to simplify them for a child. And I think for the most part, it does work, too.
Oh, totally.
But that said, I don't know if you could make a movie like this today.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, if it didn't work, we wouldn't be talking about it
Oh,
right now.
yeah. And, at the time, too, we say this all the time, but it's like smartphones and all that.
Sure.
You had to break out your actual encyclopedia.
You had to break out your encyclopedia, but I remember getting on the internet when I was a kid on our Internet
by
Explorer.
97 you would have had something.
I remember checking out so many books about the Romanovs in the library.
AOL.
Really?
AOL.
Oh, I love that.
AOL keyword Anastasia.
Yeah, I mean, they were all AOL and Prodigy and all those bad boys.
Ask Jeeves.
In the form of a question.
Yeah.
Is it
your Encarta disc?
I think that it is just a coincidence that this movie was taken off Disney Plus during the Ukraine invasion. I think that something did just expire in a contract, so it just curiously left Disney Plus during all of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't read too much into that.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even have the first Maleficent movie.
Oh, they don't?
They don't?
No. They get it for like a weekend and then it goes away.
Oh, interesting. I mean,
they only have Mistress of Evil. Is that what
are
it's
you
called?
really looking for the first Maleficent movie to watch?
When it something
about it does it for that Lana Del Rey cover. Huh?
I mean, that is iconic. But something about I don't know why I looked it up one day because Mistress of Evil was there and I was like going in. Oh, I was on all movies. And it was in alphabetical order and I only saw Mistress of Evil and I was like, what the fuck? Why isn't the first one there? And I just Googled it. I was like, oh, how about that? But yeah, suffice it to say, they got problems with with contract. I mean, the battle of the streamers, this shit, we're in weird times right now.
Yeah.
With all this nonsense. And it's like Disney Plus has been around for 3 years now?
Yeah.
And it's like there's still red tape that they're trying to cut through.
Oh my gosh.
We just got Avatar back.
Yeah. Are there other Don Bluth movies on Disney Plus? Is Thumbelina on Disney
Thumbelina
Plus?
is on Disney Plus.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are other Don Bluth movies on it, but I have to look
I mean,
them
All
up.
Dogs Go to Heaven and
because those are the ones he did for Fox, right?
All Dogs Go to Heaven and The Secrets of NIMH are both MGM movies.
Oh, okay.
And then I think that American Tail is Universal.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, Amblin. What was the last Don Bluth movie?
I mean, it was Titan A.E. And Titan A.E. kind of cratered when it came out.
Yeah.
And more or less ended him directing features. I think that he may have done a few shorts, but I think that just how expensive Titan A.E. was and how little return that it had, I think it kind of cost him directing
he still with
features
us?
anymore.
Or
Yeah, he's still alive.
He's still alive? Yeah.
Titan E was fun. It's got Drew Barrymore playing an Asian character.
Pulling a ScarJo?
Strike that.
Okay.
Pulling a ScarJo.
Yeah,
but it has
he's still with us.
Janine Garofalo is in Titan AE, and she plays an alien. And the alien that she plays has like a kangaroo face, but it has these big legs. And I always remember Janine Garofalo describing it as having legs like the Ed 209, the big robot in RoboCop, like the backwards chicken legs. And she was very upset because they told her that her character in 1999 or 2000 or whatever, they told her that her character was non-binary, was neither male or female. She's doing the voice, and she goes to see the movie at the premiere, and the character has boobs. And she was like, what the fuck? Why does this kangaroo with backwards chicken legs have breastises? That's my hot take on Titan AE.
I never saw Titan AE.
Asian Drew Barrymore.
Pete, you know what's a Don Bluth property that we love playing?
Don Bluth joint.
Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair, yes. Dragon Slayer
Have you ever played
is an
Dragon's Lair?
I have heard of it.
Did they ever
I've never
have it
played
at the Starcade at Disney?
They did in my day.
Probably.
They
yeah.
did in my day. Kids, listeners, sit back.
I'm sorry.
Get relaxed. Dragon Slayer. No,
Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair.
Dragon Slayer
Dragon
is
Slayer is the movie with
the movie.
With what's his name from Ghostbusters 2? Mm-hmm. Janos. He's Vigo. Okay, so Dragon's Lair is a video game that was produced by John Bluth. It was a laser disc video game.
Wow.
So it cost $1 at the Starcade.
That's a lot of money back
in
then.
the 80s.
That would have been like a $10 video
That's
game
four
now.
quarters, bitch. And you put in 4 quarters, and motherfucker, you died instantly. So what they did was they animated scenes, full cell animation, movie feature quality, right? 24 frames a second. And you would kind of tell the character which direction to go in, and he would do the thing. And then when he got to the next step, you would tell the character. And if you didn't tell him the right direction, he's dead. You don't take hits. He just dies, and he turns into a skeleton and drops dead. And there were 2. There was Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. And they were both formatted off this laser disc, and so that's how you could watch full cell animation like a movie on a video arcade cabinet. And in Dragon's Lair, you're this knight, and you're going to capture this girl who's been, or you're going to save the princess who's been captured by the dragons. And in Space Ace, it's kind of a similar story, but it's sci-fi. They remastered them both, and they released them as a combo pack. So we have them on the Switch, and you can actually play the game as it was intended, or you can just watch the whole film.
Oh, okay.
As,
very
as
cool.
a movie. And they're Don Bluth animated, and they look like Don Bluth movies.
Yeah, the main hero looks like Dimitri.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Tall and thin, but the girl looks like Thumbelina.
Yeah,
With
she looks like
big old
Thumbelina.
tits.
like I think both of his like main female and male characters all kind of look the same.
He loves a high ponytail.
He does. Yeah.
He loves a high pony with like a long fall down the back. But yeah, I forgot that was another Don Bluth production. That
Don Bluth does the animation for Xanadu.
Xanadu, yeah. There's a brief animation scene in the middle of the Olivia Newton-John movie Xanadu. He does not do the animation in the beginning of Grease.
No.
Because that is garbage, mama.
Kind of charming, but also crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that Stockard Channing picture is iconic.
So good.
That's the best part.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But kids, I mean, if you have like an interest in, all this crazy stuff with like, Don Bluth breaking off from Disney, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's so much material out
quite a
there.
run, especially just as an alternative to Disney. I mean, now we have Illumination. We have, I mean, the Sony animated movies.
Yeah.
I mean, you got like Ice Age, all of that, like alternatives to Disney.
Yeah.
And in the 80s, there wasn't a lot. But there was Don Bluth, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he hitched his wagon to Steven Spielberg, and he got that Steven Spielberg Presents on American Tail, and that was like legitimized. Like this shit, these are like real Disney rival movies. And I will tell you this much: I remember sitting in the theater for the first American Tail, and bitch, when that little boy, with that little tiny mouse, with that red scarf, sees Papa, and he says Papa, and he runs across. Oh my God.
Crying right now.
Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Niagara Falls. Every time.
Wow.
I can't with that fucking American Tail. That shit is good.
I think that
And
I
that
know.
song.
Yeah, somewhere out there. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Linda Ronstadt or Melissa Manchester?
Linda Ronstadt.
Linda Ronstadt. Oh,
Yeah.
Melissa Manchester does The Great Mouse Detective.
Yes, she does.
Oh,
We
yeah.
just did a
Yeah.
Great Mouse Detective rewatch, and
Yeah.
where it's like, oh yeah, this is the barmaid entertainer is Melissa Manchester.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think I know all of the dialogue from All Dogs Go to Heaven. I know all of it because that was a tape that we had that I watched on repeat.
You've always been a fan of Burt Reynolds.
Mr. Burt Reynolds. Burt and Dom.
Burt and Dom.
Yep.
Just together at last.
I loved Thumbelina. I loved. I mean, this again, movies that made us gay. Little Donovan. There was something about that Carol Channing "Marry the Mole" song that just did it for me.
God. Yeah. I've actually seen Thumbelina.
I know that I have.
Jodie Benson is the voice of Thumbelina.
Okay.
So
Word.
there's your Disney connection there.
All right.
Yeah.
And it's on Disney Plus, so we can watch it at any time.
Anytime.
Touch of a button.
But I've got
not
news for
Anastasia. You gotta pay
I've
for
got
that
news
shit.
for you.
You gotta buy that one.
The Swan Princess is not Don Bluth.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Okay.
It's released by New Line. So interesting.
Oh, weird.
What about the Troll in Central Park?
I love the Troll in Central Park.
Troll in Central Park, I don't think is Don Bluth either.
Oh, that was. No one ever mentions that movie anymore.
It's got Charles Nelson Riley.
And I think I also. It's directed by Don. It's directed by Don Bluth and
There you go.
Don Bluth and Gary Goldman.
That I haven't
Shut your
seen
mouth.
in
Cloris
probably
Leachman.
20 years.
Yeah.
I need to watch that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Haley Mills is a voice in A Troll in Central Park too.
See, kids.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think Don Bluth and Gary Goldman.
Yeah,
Smith?
Gary Goldman.
Gary Goldman. I think they also do. They're on the Dragon's Lair Space Ace Switch game. They do like commentary and.
How old are these guys? Because even in 1997, watching the special features for
They look
Anastasia,
old
these guys
then.
look old as hell.
And those motherfuckers were on like Jungle Book.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Wait, is Don Bluth on Jungle Book?
He probably worked for Disney in the 60s,
Yeah.
so he
Yeah.
probably did work
Yeah,
on Jungle Book.
Yeah, to be like a grown adult then and just like still kicking around. All right, you better work,
Wow,
Don Bluth.
work.
But yeah, fascinating stories, and I'm sure there's plenty of like information out there, or like docs about about what happened with like breaking away from Disney and going off on his own and starting this rival empire, which was probably very hard to do. Like I think you just have all the movie studios just being like, that's taken. People do that.
Yeah.
We're not gonna
do that. Someone else already does
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And you were
Or if there was animation, it was weird niche adult stuff
It
like
was. Like Lord of the Rings.
like Lord of
Yeah,
the Rings
yeah.
and Fire and Ice,
yeah, just all the backseat
Wizards.
or just
Actually, or like
or all the Rankin Bass
what's
stuff.
the one about
was-
the cat. You know what I'm talking about?
Fritz the Cat.
Fritz the cat.
Oh yeah, Fritz, that was also
Yep.
Ralph Bakshi. Yeah. Or the Rankin Bass stuff that was kind of farmed out to Japan, like The Last Unicorn, and they did their own Lord of the Rings. We're animation nerds in this house.
You were standing hard for us to do the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh my
this
god!
month.
Yeah, you got it. You got to do Rudolph.
I don't think we're gonna fit it in this
gayest
year,
movie ever.
but yeah.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
come on, Yukon Cornelius.
Yukon
Bear.
Cornelius.
Yukon Cornelius looks like our friend Ryan.
Looking for the bumble. Yeah, looking for that white stuff. You got Hermie.
No.
who's- Something's off about him. He just wants to
Something
be a
is off.
dentist.
Yep.
He just wants to be a dentist.
The Island of Misfit Toys.
Not subtle at all.
No,
Rudolph has his like conceal don't feel moment.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, I mean, if you're animation weirdos like we are, there's a lot of material out there for in the Don Bluth world, and all the, there's a lot more than just your Disney fare. But Disney Plus is a good place to start for any of that. But I mean, how much was Anastasia on iTunes? $5, $7?
It was $5 when I bought it.
$5.
But yeah, I
Come on.
mean,
a big
people
copy.
of a very specific age that were watching kid movies in the 90s just fucking love this movie.
Oh my
and I
God,
can
yeah.
see why. Just
Yeah.
because I think it's a pretty gripping story,
Yeah.
even though it takes a lot of creative liberties, which I'm fine with. I'm fine
Yeah.
with sort of boiling the story down to the bare essentials. I still think it works.
And as a kid, it gets
Yeah.
you interested in the history,
gets you
right?
interested
like,
in
it
it.
made me take my ass to the library and check out some books. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Great music and songs in it.
Yeah.
And
10 out of 10.
fast food tie-ins.
Fast food tie-ins. I think that the fast food.
yeah.
I mean, there was a massive marketing budget for this movie. I mean, I think if anything, this movie made money it may not have covered just how expensive it was to market. Because I think it made decent money for 97, but I think that probably the marketing budget for this movie...
I mean, if Bartok got his own spinoff,
Oh, that's
I think
true.
they're probably doing all
They were
right.
doing
I believe
okay.
that
Yeah.
the fast food tie-in was
Pretty.
Burger King.
That
For some
sounds
reason,
right.
I want to say yeah because McDonald's probably had a deal with Disney.
They did have a deal with Disney
Yeah,
at the time.
so
Yeah, I remember
they probably
that.
were just like, nope, bitch, you better take that to the king. You can have it your way with Anastasia. But
Dimitri's forever my animation bae. I think he's
Oh.
so dreamy.
Yeah, come on. Dimitri
That
is up
smooth
there.
John Cusack voice too.
Okay.
That moment. Okay, before that moment of the big like I love you moment with Anastasia and Dimitri, where they're at the opera. I remember
when he looks up at her.
Oh
at
my
the stair.
god!
Oh.
I remember that moment when I was a kid. I used to just think it was so romantic.
Yes, it is. It's because it is romantic.
oh my goodness gracious. Okay, Scott, what am I thinking of? This crazy mashup YouTube video.
Oh, it's a thing. So it is Dimitri and is it Jim Hawkins from Treasure Planet?
Is it Prince Eric?
It might be
Oh, is
Prince
it-
Eric.
Oh,
It's a weird
It's
internet
a weird fan-made
mashup. Yeah.
slash
Yeah.
fiction.
Where did we
Yeah.
see it?
Romance.
Just Instagram?
I'll have to see if I can find it. And
Alt
post
Twitter?
Oh,
yeah.
please do.
Yeah, we'll find it. Kids, if you want to see it, maybe we'll send you the link.
NSFW.
yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's not as NSFW as some of the slash animation out there.
The one with Tarzan. You know what I'm talking about?
Maybe. But it's definitely interesting. I think we saw it on like Instagram or Facebook or something. But we'll find it and post that. But kids, it's probably time to wrap this baby up.
Yeah,
Time to put this one to bed.
exactly.
This was so much fun, Donovan.
This was so
Yeah,
great.
This was a fun December movie.
I
mean, like we mentioned at the top of the show, not traditionally a Christmas movie, but
No.
it has a big song, Once Upon a December. And I remember Deanna Carter sang the pop version of it on the soundtrack. Do you remember Deanna Carter from the 90s?
I don't.
Yeah,
know.
she was like the B Shania Twain of the 1990s. But yeah, not a traditional Christmas movie, but there's snow in it.
Yeah,
There's snow in it.
snow.
It's
there's
Russia.
Revolution. There's peasants. Yeah, it's a good time.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, no, this is always a pleasure
Yeah,
to be
it's
here with
always
both
fun
of
to
you.
do episodes with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But we'll have you on again
Yeah.
as usual.
In the new year.
In the new year.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, it's almost 2023.
We just have a couple more episodes left until we're all done for the year.
Yes, indeed.
So exciting.
Can't believe it. Oh, my God. Then we get to take a break.
Yeah.
Listeners, we're going to take our January break. Get ready for that. But
What will I do?
I know. And every Friday morning, listen to an old episode. Go listen to those our bottom 10. We'll tell you guys what our least listened to episodes.
I'm intrigued now.
I'll send you the stats. But until next time, Donovan will bid you adieu.
Thank you.
Listeners. Thanks for listening, everybody. And thanks so much once again for listening, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Yes, indeed. It's December, you guys.
Yeah, we have like 3 more full episodes left of the show
know.
over the year. Can you believe that?
Can't believe it. Then we're going to take a quick break in January, but we'll be back with fresh episodes. Gosh, season 5.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're almost there.
Can't believe it. But I think it is that time in the episode.
Patreon shout-outs?
Patreon shout-outs. Yes, indeed. We would like to say hello and thank you to all of our wonderful patrons, including Lawrence, Danielle, Alexis, Thomas, Mark, Jackson, Millie, Ted, Benny, Jermel, Melanie, Christopher, Susan, JJ, Shelby, Michael, Muffy, Jamie, Drew, Genevieve, Dawn, Joshua, Emily, Millie, Aaron, Jessica, Nick and Shannon, Christine, and Rufino.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for being patrons, everybody. All of your donations go directly to keeping the show on the air and ad-free.
You'll also get access to our newsletter, which we are working on the December newsletter right now. So you'll get that one. You'll get the Watch With Us commentaries, and we're going to be doing some fun ones for December.
Yes, indeed. And we just released the Willow Watch With Us commentary. We've got the new Willow sequel series on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah,
so,
a little tie into it.
Yeah, so we did a little time for that. So check that out. And thank you so much for doing that. Head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay for more information for donating. So it's a lot of fun.
You can also write us a review on Spotify or iTunes. We would love to read that.
Absolutely. If you head over to Apple Podcasts and write a review for the show, we'll read it on an upcoming episode. And if you smash 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that really helps us out with just metrics and getting the show out there to a wider audience.
Yeah, we'll love that.
Yeah, so thanks for doing that. So you can also subscribe, follow us on all the social media platforms. We're on practically everything.
Instagram and Facebook at Movies That Made Us Gay, and on Twitter at MTMUGPod.
Yes, indeed. You can follow our personals if you want to. My name's Pete. I am at Peter Lasagna on Instagram and Twitter.
Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and follow my letterbox.
Indeed. Thank you so much for listening once again. We will see you next week, everybody.
Bye.